Well, good morning, guys, and welcome to the show. Fernando.
Welcome to the show.
Today we have a Toyota 4Runner 2020. He likes to refer to it as a Stormtrooper. Even went ahead and got the trailer hitch to match. Today we're going to be putting in a whole bunch of stereo stuff. In every stereo we do, you talk to the customer, you find out their desires, goals, dreams, and what their main focus of the stereo is. Not everyone is the same. Some people want perfect clarity and definition and center imaging. Some people just want it loud, knock the back of my head off, and every step in between those.
Right.
And the idea is talk with the customer, find out what they want, and then build a system that fits that goal. Talk about the features that they may want, talk about the features they might not want, and eventually you weave your way through and you come up with the stereo design for the car. And today, the stereo we've come up with, let's take a look at it. We're going to start out with the front doors, getting some Ground Zero GZMD Door Pro kit on it to quiet it up and make it sound better. It is a Toyota, they need all the help they can get. We have fast strings, a bunch of fast strings, because this particular car has rear door speakers here, speakers in the rear door, and then another set up here in the front door, and then the dash. It's got a lot of speakers. Right now, before fitting, we have the Kenwood Exelon KFC X174s to go in the whole rear of the vehicle. Those awesome two-way 6x9s. This has the 2.5 to go in the dash, and then the 6x9 to go into the door. We're gonna be using a Stinger X-Link power kit, feeding this guy right here, the Kenwood Reference XR 901.5 5-channel amplifier, and then this guy right here. Some of you guys are going to be fans of the floating radio, and some of you guys are going to hate the floating radio. This is the new Pioneer floating radio, and I know we're doing a lot of Kenwood stuff, but at the time when we're filming this, Kenwood doesn't have a floating radio. And why the floating radio, you might ask? This is the dash in this car. The kit goes from here to here, and it's huge. Factory, you have all these knobs and buttons and all this, but the aftermarket kit is really plain. It's a nice looking kit, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't really do much for this area here. He isn't like that. He's like, I've seen pictures, I don't like it. His idea is to go with the floating radio, which he has seen pictures of. It kind of fills in, it goes a little bit wider and fills that whole look in. We're gonna be doing Pioneer DMH WT7600NEX 9-inch screen to fill in that area where it's just kind of boring and ugly looking. Whatever works for you. Did that get everything?
You get everything.
Oh, we're gonna be doing a subwoofer. That's the Rockford
P3.
Is it a P3? We're gonna be doing a Rockford P3 in the factory box. We have the woofer right now, just this guy. It will be in the factory box, but we have to swap out the woofers to get the right ohm load for the amplifier. Sound good?
Not yet, but it's going to.
There you go. All right, so join us as we get started figuring out where things are gonna go and how to do it all. It should be interesting. And then for integration, because I forgot, we're gonna be doing iData. Saw the box sitting up there. Anytime you do a Toyota, I always recommend iData. Nothing against the other guys, it's just they do a much better job for Toyota than everybody else. We'll talk about that more once we get to the bench. And with that, let's get started. Starting out with the dash, we wanna get that off first. The kit we're gonna be using is the Metra 99-8227 CHG, or charcoal gray. It's an instruction manual. We want this. Let's head over into the car. To deinstall the radio, it looks like we have to remove these two pieces here, this air conditioning controller, and then there's going to be 4 screws back here that hold the radio. The screws, according to this, are 10mm. On the back of the radio, there is a ton of harnesses that need to be removed. These don't. This group here, this is for the satellite radio. Let's take this over to the bench. But let's take a look at the kit. It has the pocket, which we will be using. It has a knockout for the hazard switch that goes between the two vents. The brackets for mounting the radio, which we're gonna have to modify to be able to hold the weight. The double DIN mount, some snap clips, the trim for the single DIN radio. Then wrapped in foam is the bezel itself. And this is the area here that he doesn't like. I mean, it's not the end of the world for sure. I don't think it's terrible, but when you're used to that factory look and you really like all the activity that's going over here, personally a phone mount maybe here might be something to think about. This is what we got. That radio is gonna sit and take up all this space. We'll cover this back up for now. Now, I'm not a big fan of surprises, so I like to do the hard stuff right away. And I feel like mounting the radio into the dash securely is going to be one of the harder parts of this install. Let's unbox the radio, get the parts out, and then we'll merge the two together. This particular radio comes with a GPS antenna, plug-in harness for the RCAs, the main power plug, bag of screws, microphone, the mounting bracket for the actual screen. This does not come attached to the unit because you can shift it left or right. A USB to USB-C adapter because these radios use USB-C now. Remote control, and this guy, the USB-C cable. The reason it has USB-C now instead of just regular USB is most phones have graduated onto using that for fast charge. And it's a pretty thick, it's like an 8-gauge wire. We'll talk more about this once we get the radio out of the box. The instruction, warranty cards, amendments. The screen comes in its own piece here, which I leave it in until we're ready, but I will pull it out to show. This is the screen. It does have a piece of clear film over it, almost like a screen protector. This does slide off the back. This is designed to cover this area. This bracket mounts in like this. Is nice about this, as you see, it's not even screwed in, but it's kind of locked, because on here they have these little dimples right here and here. Once you figure out your height, it will hold it. It's not just going to slide up and down until you can get your screws in. There's 2 screws that go in here along with that dimple. There's also a channel that this slides into when going to put it on, and there's a screw that goes on either side to lock it in place. Looking at the main unit itself, this is the cable for the screen. Comes out about 8 inches. You'll notice there's a T shape here at the top. That is so that you can move it left or right or in the center. All these screw holes here are so that if you want to move where this bracket goes, you could have it go left, you can have it go right, or you could have it directly in the center. There's also 2 screws here and 2 screws here, so you can pull this out and replace them into these 2 locations here and here, and it'll extend this out another inch. On the back of the radio though is where all the excitement happens. Your wired antenna, wired Sirius XM, and then you have these 2 things right here. Located at the top corner here is a micro HDMI adapter that it does not come with, but if you want to use it, you'll have to get one that plugs in here, and if you'll notice, it is right at the edge. It's going to be tough to make that work. Maybe get a 90 or something or bracket off of the radio. It's very little real estate holding that in. And then as far as the new USB-C goes, that is also located here. It is a 5-volt 3-amp output. If you plug in your USB-C, you'll notice that it is kind of sketchy, to say the least. So you will have to build something off of the radio in order for this to stay put. We do have a piece that we make for this. Located next to that is going to be your iData connection, microphone, your GPS antenna. Even though this does not have internal GPS, the GPS antenna is for your phone to track better. Wired remote input, and the power plug is here. Power plug being here is one of the things that makes this location also kind of a bummer. If the power plug was somewhere else or these were switched, then you could put a nice 90-degree right here and then it wouldn't be an issue. But as it is, you can't have a USB-C that goes like this because it's going to get in the way of the power plug. You might be able to have it stick out at the top like this. It's something that we're going to definitely going forward have to come up with some kind of a workaround. One of the reasons why this kit kind of is something I want to address first is because of the way that the single DINs are supposed to mount. These were designed in a time where single DINs were just simply CD players and they don't weigh a lot and they don't have big heavy screens suspended off of them. These are designed to snap onto the single DIN, and then these clip into place with these little clips right here. So there's actually no screws or anything. And these clips aren't exactly the strongest thing there is because it just literally clips and then you can stick a piece in here, push it down, and it slides out. When we switched to double DINs, those were much heavier. Some of them had CD, DVD, 2 players in them. They've gotten lighter over the years, but they started out heavy, so that design structure was built back when they were heavy. These are nice because because these have this groove right here that's designed to attach into a groove. Hold a lot of weight. They use the whole strength of the kit to mount up. We're gonna have to come up with some kind of a hybrid between using these and using the pocket and this trim, because there's no way this is gonna hold the weight. When using the single din brackets, it comes with this piece here. This pocket snaps into place like so, and it uses the groove that we need to snap into place. This snaps in place over top of it, and in a perfect world, this would be all we need. Doing a little staring and a little thinking, we want this groove here, because unlike this, the whole kit is held on by this little 1-inch strip. This is held on by this whole plain area here. What I'm thinking is, if I cut the kit right here, remove this bottom half, I'll be able to snap it into place, then that will definitely hold the weight. Only one thing to do, and that's try. If it doesn't work, we'll try something else. If you notice, there's this little L shape here that's missing. That is designed to, when you're doing the double din, you remove this piece, and what we're using that for now is to actually line up where this goes. From the front, this looks nice and solid. The only foreseeable problem I have is that none of these screw holes line up, but it's plastic, it's simple enough. We'll drill some new screw holes, we'll get this thing mocked up. A silver Sharpie and a grinding tool gets us new hole locations, gets this mounted into the kit, lined up rather nice.